Hi everyone, today I'm doing my stock market portfolio return for the month of May. This is where I see how my portfolio did compared to the S&P 500 and kind of see my return and if I was able to beat the S&P 500, which is my target. I always try to beat the S&P 500 over a year, which I've been able to do over the last 3 years since I've been invested into the stock market. I kind of go through every stock, see the return and then compare my current return this year to the S&P 500. Obviously, this is all from a long-term kind of hold. Now, the month of May was a rough month for investors. I think it was the worst May for 7 years. It was an absolute bloodbath because of the China trade war. We kind of thought that a trade deal was going to happen, and then Donald Trump had different ideas. He kind of thought that we were going to put a few more tariffs on just to spice a few things up. So he sent the stock market down quite a bit, and the S&P 500 was pretty red for everyone, and a lot of portfolios went a little bit red because of the trade war, really, and a lot of stocks were massively beaten down, especially the stocks that were kind of affected by China, and quite a few of my stocks do kind of rely on China, which also caused a few problems in my portfolio, but nothing too bad. We're still positive in the year right now. But I'm going to go through the portfolio, talk about some individual stocks, and if I'm going to sell any positions, add any positions, and all the good stuff like that. So I'm going to show you my portfolio right now of my returns. Obviously, this is a long-term hold. Some of the numbers cannot be exactly perfect. It's quite hard to track it all perfect, and some of the positions are different sizes, which isn't shown in the portfolio. But it just gives a good average return, and all the returns are taken from the 29th of the last month to the 28th of the month just gone. So I'm going to get the Excel document up now and I'm going to show you how it all worked out. So my JD.com position was down 12.05%, obviously because of the China trade war. And we had Microsoft down 2.07%, which was pretty strong, to be fair. I've not actually talked about that I've added a few more shares into Microsoft actually this month as well. I never made a video about it actually, but yeah, I did add a few positions into Microsoft in May. Apple was a stock that I sold out of, and obviously that was hit absolutely massive because of the China trade war, so I did quite well there. J&J were pretty strong. I think they had a bit of a bad day on the 29th, so that's not reflected in this return, but that was only down 1.98%. Visa was still strong in the month. Honestly, I need to add more Visa into my portfolio. That gave a 5% return. Constellation Brands, I actually sold out of this month. And since the China trade war and some tariffs are being put on Mexico since then, the stock's gone down like 10-20%. So I actually sold out at like the perfect time for Constellation Brands. That was down 1.61%, and then eventually I sold out. I said that I might sell out of that stock just because I had such a good return on it. Facebook was down 5.38%, even after some really strong earnings. Walgreens was down 3.49%, which I believe is now towards its 52-week low again. And potentially, depending on what happens, I might just add a couple more shares into that position. Great dividend hold and great brand overall. CBRE Group, which is a small position of mine, that was down 5.89%, so I'm down a couple of percent on that, and I just kind of invested in that because it's an area that I'm not in, and I believe I can get probably about a 20% return on that. Alibaba obviously are massively down on that because of the China trade war, even though most of its revenue comes from China, go figure. But you know, it's crazy how much that's down because it doesn't rely on the trade war or trade deal at all. You know, it's kind of weird. So it's another company that I'm strongly looking to invest in. Tesla was a new position which I've been absolutely killed on, like crazy amount, but I don't mind holding that, to be fair. You know, I don't have any plans to add into it because I'm using it as a bit of a speculation stock, really. But I don't see it going much more further down than what it is right now. So yeah, that kind of got hit hard because of tariffs on cars. So the sooner as you know, Tesla get that gigafactory up in China, the better, really. So that gave my total return an average return of 6.96% of the month of May. The S&P 500, we can see down here, was down 5.98%. So I did worse than the S&P 500, but when you're doing individual stock picking like how I am, when the month's normally red, you do normally get a worse return than the S&P 500. Same as if you have individual stocks and it's a positive month, normally you do better in a positive month than the S&P 500 return. So that's kind of expected, really. So yeah, that gave my year-to-date return of my stocks on my portfolio 10.74% return, and the S&P 500 10.94%. So I'm currently behind the S&P 500's return by 0.2%. So that is so close right there. So as you can see, guys, I have fallen behind the S&P 500 return right now, only by 0.2%. So I'm not too far off, and like I say, we're nearly getting towards the half a year mark. So I'm confident that over the next 7 months, I probably will beat the S&P 500. If the year stays positive, that is, I think I'll do all right. June itself, May to August is normally the rough kind of year for stock market. It's that kind of sell in May and go away kind of scenario. It's proven to be the worst couple of months in the stock market. So I'm not from now on, I'm not expecting the stock market to go up huge, especially with the China trade war over the next kind of few months. So from August onwards, we'll see how the stock market really does. But overall, it's not too bad. I'm still up 10% year to date, which is okay. Obviously, that was helped massively by selling out that Apple position and that Constellation Brand position I had. Going forward this month, I might not buy too many stocks, even though there's a lot of good discounts out there, just because I'm putting a lot of money into my investment property, which I'm going to make a video about actually in the next few days about that property. But I probably won't add too many stocks in this month. If I do, it'll only be probably one, maybe two push. But I'll see what happens. It depends how much of a discount we do get on the stock market. But that's my return for May 2019. And thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all the support recently. We're now starting to close down on that 300 subscriber mark, which is fantastic. So thank you for that. Give the video a like, subscribe, comment. If you want to have a quick talk in the comments, I don't mind doing that. And I'll see you on the next video.